hear that. Good morning.
Hi.
Heidi ho. Thank you for coming to the show today. As the organiser, I really appreciate that you've all turned up. And of course, we've got a lot of exhibitors. Please spend lots of money with them, talk to them, keep them engaged. And that's my plug for the show. So I'm doing ROD, RISC OS developments, and most probably will throw in a couple of bits of Orpheus towards the end. Now that we've got this working, and you'll have to excuse me, it's glasses on and it's glasses off. So I apologise if we get knocking noises. Great. Now I've got my show notes, I can talk to you intelligently, he says, hopefully. So, what's the big topic in RISC OS at the moment? What have we got as our big topic? We've got a browser, we've got a new stack, various modules, people are enhancing their programs, but the rest of the world has, as ever, moved on, and the hardware is now 64-bit, and 32-bit is gradually falling out of fashion or is not available in the hardware. So I would guess that most of you on forums and news groups, meetings, the topic of 64-bit is going to come up, something that various ones of us
Thank you. Have started, we've been talking about it in the background. Programmers, RISC OS developments were all 10, 15 years ago. We were talking very lightly then, saying, well, we've got to think about 64-bit, we've got to plan ahead. And now 64-bit has come running at us like an express train, I'm afraid. But you've got Rule, of course, with their moonshot. If you look at their new backdrop, it looks really impressive. I don't know quite where we are on the 1, 2, 3, 4, but Steve Revel will no doubt come in later, and I hope he's got some good news for you. It'd be interesting, so do please come to his talk as well. What's Rod going to do? Well, we're not going to have a specific 64-bit project, because there are lots of people that are currently working on 64-bit. So what we feel would be most useful and most appropriate is for us to offer encouragement, or in the instance of maybe a small programmer who would like to spend some more time doing 64-bit, but goes, gosh, I'm putting a lot of time and effort into this, and it's taking away maybe from their day job or whatever, because I know all RISC OS people are at heart 100% dedicated, enthusiastic diehards. So we tend to let our hearts roll away from our heads. So what Andrew and I sat down, we've had quite a few chats about this. We want to encourage anyone who has a 64-bit project, especially if they need some funding, come and talk to us. We'll have a chat with you. We'll see what your goals are, what you want to do with your particular 64-bit bits of kit, or anything really with RISC OS. And if we can help you, then we will. So that's really the aim of ROD going into this, if you like, 64-bit era. We want to support. We're here as a support network for programmers or anyone that wants to dedicate some time and effort to do 64-bit, whether it's a large project or whether it's a small project or whether it's just an ongoing project. So the one I'm going to highlight first for you is the one that Gerf's doing. And if you want an FAQ on that and some actual black and white what he's actually doing, come to the ROD stand and we've got some information sheets. So what Gerf said to us is, well, some people know about me, but not everybody. So I'm here to stand here and say to you, come to the stand, pick up the FAQ, and then you will be able to see what one person is doing and putting towards getting RISC OS into a 64-bit capable operating system. Now, our programmer, you will know him from, there's a long list here, TCP/IP stack, Pinboard 2, the network manager, and the Wi-Fi, that's Andy Vore. He's got some stuff that he's doing, and we are supporting him with that. He can't make it to this show, but I'm hoping he'll be with us at the London show. So, quick plug for Rugol. In October, come to the London show, and you'll be able to have a word and actually speak to Andy Vore if he can make it, which he's promised me he will do his best to. So those are a couple of the 64-bit items that we are supporting. So, any of these items that, any of the projects that we do support or that we can fund, just reading from my notes here, it's the development of C, versions of RISC OS modules, but any and all of this source code will be provided as ever under the Apache 2 or CDDL license, as we do for all our projects. I don't think there's a single RISC OS development projects that we haven't made the source code and everything available in the spirit of the open source. So as you know, when we do our bits and pieces, we always put them in. If anyone needs any help with development tools, again, all part and parcel of supporting these projects, we will be happy to do that. If there are any technical questions you want to ask about 64-bit or nitty-gritty, obviously Andrew will be talking a little bit later, and as you all know, I am not the technical person that you need to ask those questions for. So by all means, come and harass Andrew or talk to him on the stand, and in between his RComp stuff, he'll be happy to assist you with that. So, what have we been doing? What have we got specifically for the show for you? I've got something I can actually demonstrate this time. I know on the last show it was a fireside chat. We didn't have too much. It was just ongoing. Obviously, there are always things going on in the background. The stack gets enhanced. Everything from OpenBSD that we've ported across, we're building on that, and we rebuild it when new source code comes out from the open source community. Something that RISC OS hasn't had before. If you look on the stand, at the bottom of one of the pieces it says, things that are coming on the stack, and the one word we have there is firewall. And we've actually got to the point now where I hope, if everything behaves itself, I will now be able to show you a RISC OS running natively on my Pinebook Pro here for a firewall. So we have some more security. So let's, that would help. Great, I have Wi-Fi. Marvellous. So we'll start up our trusty Iris browser. Now, many of you will most probably have NetManager, and you know that we have the profiles, and we've had firewall setting, which really hasn't done a lot. Now, currently, the GUI or the UI configurator for the firewall is still not quite active. We're almost there, but we couldn't quite get it ready for the show for you. So we are having to use just a script. I will show you that script. That's always going to be available as well. So for any of you who are very technical or you know more about firewalls than I do, you will be able to actually enter things in. You'll be able to amend and customize a firewall. So that, of course, is quite useful. I did hear this morning from one of our exhibitors that he has put in to a school 8 RISC OS machines because they are looking for machines that don't have AI on them, and they don't want to necessarily put fully onto the internet because they want the students to concentrate on the work that they need to do in the technical sessions. I think that is the first time I've heard, most probably in more than a decade, that someone has put brand new RISC OS machines, I'm going to wave my arms, into a school. That is marvellous, and he's supporting them and helping them with what they want to do. If you want to hear a little bit more, talk to Martin Eastwood. He's the last table on the other side of the divider here. I'm sure he'll be only too happy to talk to you about that and show you what he's been doing. But obviously, in a school, having a firewall that you can configure is something, the schools have them anyway, but you can do it on the machines as well. So there's a real world example of where a firewall might be useful. For myself, I run RISC OS machines, I run servers, you know me as Orpheus, so firewall for our servers is something that's dear to our hearts, but it's useful for me to have that on my machine. So we'll have a look. Here is a website, there we are, that you should all know. If there's anyone not from the UK here today, no? Marvellous, so bbc.co.uk. So I pull up the profile window, go to firewall, say enable firewall, save the changes, and I'm going to refresh the page. Isn't it wonderful when you get a blank page when you go on the internet? As you can see, could not connect, permission denied, firewall is working. So, just in case you think I might be cheating, let's go back to the firewall. Let's turn the firewall off, save the changes, and refresh the page. And there we are, the BBC has come back up. Now, I've done a very basic, not myself, Andy Vore talked me through this over the phone the other day, told me what to write. And I will now show you what we have. Whoops. So originally we blocked the BBC on the IP addresses that Andy had down on the south coast. That's all the lines that have the 212.58. Andy emailed that to me, and I wrote that all in, and then we found that it didn't block the BBC because they were using another set of IP ranges. So we had a quick ping in a task window, and it came back that it was 151.101, and we put 0.0/16, so that whole subnet is completely blocked. So that's the actual script. From my perspective, I don't want to do that. I'm not technical enough, but it's blocked from any two, so in or out is blocked to the BBC. So I can't go out to get it, and it can't respond back. So that's what that script is actually doing. If you want to come and have a closer look at this and have a chat one-on-one with me, please come to the stand and I'll pull this all up again for you. So we've turned it on. Let's save the changes. Oh, what a shame. I can't get to see what the Prime Minister was saying. But just in case you might think I'm cheating, let's completely quit from Iris. Start it again. Just so you can see, I'm not clicking on the link, and permission is still denied. But bother, I forgot to turn it off. So let's go in, go to the firewall, disable the firewall, save the changes, refresh the page. There we are. And we are back to the BBC. So I'll leave that page there. So obviously on my machine I've got the latest incarnation of the ROD TCP/IP stack, and it includes the full OpenBSD packet filtering interface. That's what's doing this firewall. So it examines the incoming and outgoing network data and can perform various actions depending on where that information is coming from. Because we've got the customization, you can block various different avenues in and out of your machine. So if you wanted to block accesses to, for instance, a VNC server, you would be able to do that. So it's very configurable. And we can also block access to all remote IP addresses as well. So yes, the firewall will work both out and in. You can see that we've had those I'm going to enable that so you can see it a little bit clearer. So we've got the custom firewall, which is what we're running on internally at the moment with the beta testers, but we've got a UI configurator. I don't think, there we are. So we've got all the building blocks there in the interface. It's just not quite all connected up in the back end yet. But I think that's relatively self-explanatory. If you've ever looked inside your router and you've looked at the various firewall rules, they're generally fairly outgoing is allowed and incoming generally is just, port 80 or 8080, depending on how it's set up by the different providers. So that's your very simple firewall on your router. Speaking as Orpheus, I've had people turn things on and they get into a very large pickle, and it gets quite interesting trying to sort it out. But that's outside of our RISC OS here. So it enables your local machine. You can, when we release this, you'll be able to start configuring what you want to do. The OpenBSD standard for this user-defined description is something called a pf.conf file, and RISC OS is using that. So we do have that there. So one of the things, the OpenBSD command pfctl has been implemented, and that allows us to have manual configuration and interrogation of the filter. I was told I must mention that command because that will mean something to those of you that are more technical than myself. So OpenBSD core uses access to a virtual file /dev/pf to control the firewall filter. RStack now provides emulation for this sort of OSB virtual device file. which allows direct access by users who wish to create their own tools. We will be using this extension to provide access to other devices, including ton and tap interfaces. Now, I've been told by Andy that that's a very important statement. There are other things that can be set up and can be done. One of the things that, as Orpheus, we have done various jobs for people. We have, as you know, we revamped all of our servers, and we have various customers who have their own storage solution. So we're providing a cloud solution. So for those customers who have PCs and macOS or Linux, we use OpenVPN. With this ton and tap that is already in the RISC OS stack, it should be possible for us to write an OpenVPN, I'm not sure if it's just program, so that on a RISC OS machine, we could then actually extend the OpenVPN server that we've got to be used from a RISC OS machine. So from an Orpheus perspective, that's marvelous. I could then offer cloud-based services down a VPN on a RISC OS machine, which is just not something at the moment that we can do. When files go backwards and forwards from the internet to a RISC OS machine, they're not secure. It is just data going backwards and forwards, which generally that's going to be fine 99% of the time. But for companies and for people that do have maybe one or two RISC OS machines, having this available when we can launch it and allow all of you to start using it, eventually that's one of the items that Orpheus will pay for and get sorted. We'll have an OpenVPN client that people will be able to use if they want to. Obviously, they don't have to come to our servers. That would be nice for myself and my business. But if other people are using different things, I know Spro had, I can't think of the cloud system, but he had something there. But I would hope that with the new firewall interface that's going to be put in, someone will then be able to take advantage of that, because as usual, this is open source. We will make all the source code available once we've launched it. And if someone else wants to write an app so they can talk to a specific cloud provider, you now have the opportunity to be able to do that. It was something that wasn't really available or open. You had to have something extra, as with Robert's offering that he had. So I hope that has impressed you. That's our big thing that we'll be working through for the rest of this year. Hopefully by the time, we just didn't have enough time to be able to get the normal UI configurator working. I really do think I can promise that by the time we get to the Rugol show in London, that will be available for people to look at, and I hope that we'll be releasing it either with the TCP/IP stack or with the Net Manager later on this year. So I think that just about covers most of the bits that I want to talk about there. With regards Orpheus, we announced last year that I think we'd just about finished moving all our servers over to, in this instance, Raspberry Pi 5s. I can confirm that job has been done. It went fairly smoothly. Some of you here I know are my customers, so if you didn't notice any problems, that means Andy and myself have done our job properly. So that's really most probably what Orpheus is has done. We do have a new provider for internet services. So one of the things that we have been able to do, it's in limited availability across the UK, but it is starting to roll out. I know some people still, unfortunately, only have fibre to the cabinet and not fibre to the premises, but a level on from fibre to the premises is synchronous fibre to the premises. So we're very lucky that the exchange in the village down the road from where I live, they decided that it was worth doing. So Orpheus is now running on 1 gig down to me, which is great. I can stream movies if necessary. But the servers now, because it's synchronous, we have 1 gig upload speed, which for someone who's running servers, it's the upload speed that's more important. Most of you are concerned about how quick can you grab from the internet. Well, the good news is when you're looking at your website that we host, or you're picking up your email where your granddaughter, because she's not quite as old and as careful as us, has said, "Oh, look, Grandad, here's 20 pictures from my iPhone," and they're huge in size. You should be able to download them now an awful lot faster, a lot less waiting time. We can go all the way up to 2.5 gig up and down. That's a slightly more expensive item, so that will most probably come a little bit later on. But at the moment, we've got the 1 gig up, and I hope that you can all appreciate that and enjoy the quickness that you can download your mails or your news items. I have had confirmation. Someone asked me, is the news server working this morning? And Andy, who was in Tesco's at the time, has done a limited check. That server is working fine. So if, hello, Derek. Yes, if you come and see me afterwards, and we'll talk about trying to sort out other bits and pieces, and I'll organise a call with you. So more tech support done. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask? I'll do my best if it's technical, but just general ones, then certainly if we are aware that 2 different projects are overlapping in some way, then common sense says that, yes, we will speak to both parties concerned, because it may be that one party is further on, and they can give their code to the other person. It's all open source. Obviously, that will be down to the 2 programmers or the 2 people, groups involved. Right. I'm getting old. These eyes don't quite work the way they used to. I'm sure a few of you are going to start nodding your head. So, right. OpenBSD core uses access to a virtual file, /dev/pf is its location, to control the filter. Our TCP/IP stack now provides emulation for this sort of OpenBSD virtual device file, which allows direct access by users who wish to create their own tools. However, we'll be using this extension specifically to provide access to other tools, including TUN and TAP interfaces, and that's the one that provides the hooks to allow tunneling, which of course something like OpenVPN, any VPN, that's a tunneling tool. There are other odds and ends obviously in there, that it is a full implementation. I think that's really what Andrew wanted me to stress, that if it's available in OpenBSD, it is there, whether we've actually got all the hooks. So if somebody has a project they want to do and they can't actually get to the bits and pieces, come and talk to us, and Andy Vore and John Balance will be able to open things up, uncover things, and allow you to tinker away to your heart's content. And then I'll have something to talk about at this show next year, hopefully. Yes? Does anyone else have any other questions? No? Well, in that case, if you're all satisfied and you've wrung me dry for information, again, come and see me on the stand if there's anything else. Thank you ever so much for coming, and